Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar, India Way Forward, Unlocking the Potentials of Dairy Ingredients. And we are really thrilled to have all of you here. And we are really privileged to have three extremely experienced guests with us. We have Rahul Kumar ji, COO of Parag Milk Foods. Parag is India's one of the leading dairy processors and also is the owner of one of the biggest and fastest growing whey brands in India called Avatar. We have Lawrence van Delft, Director Trade and Economics of European Whey Processors Association and EDA with us. And we have Dave Harar, Vice President Global Protein Trades at Innovate Dairy. And then definitely it's me, like I will be moderating this session. And why are we even organizing this session today? We are organizing this webinar to explore the vast potentials of dairy ingredients in India. We are the #1 producers, but as of now, we are seeing that the consumption is overtaking the production in the current terms. And we would like to explore what is the current scenario of whey or proteins in India and what is the future outlook. So firstly, I would like to invite Rahul ji to start with his presentation and share with us like how does Indian dairy industry and whey outlook looks like as of now.
Yeah, so if you can share my
Yes.
presentation.
Yeah. Yes. Let me know if you are able to see it. Can you see it now?
Nice. Yeah. So it has come as a first, yeah, it's already come. Yeah. I think everybody
Yeah.
is able to see it now. Yeah. So thank you, Prashant, for your opening remarks. And I welcome all of my co-speakers as well as the audience, which is there already connected on this webinar. So I would like to share what exactly is happening in whey market or whey business in India. As Prashant said that we are the largest producer of the milk in the world. Of course, we are making a lot of products which is generating a lot of whey. So I will just quickly go through what is the scenario, what is the market potential, and how exactly dairy processors are trying to use this opportunity, which is a growing market, right? So can you change the slides? Yeah, I'm not going to go into a lot of details on this side. Everybody knows who's there. All are aware about the whey composition and this thing. But my only objective to show this slide is the true protein and lactose. Because when we're talking about whey market, there is another product which is coming, along with whey. It's also a byproduct, which is lactose. So if we discuss whey products, I think we should discuss in the combination of lactose, because that is also one of the byproduct comes out of when you do some value addition on the whey. So in that way, this is the two key component of whey. It's a protein, which is 0.6% of total whey, and lactose is 4.5%. So rest is, you can see a lot of chemicals like calcium, sodium, potassium, which anyhow we have to keep removing when we are making more and more value added whey product, right? So next slide, please. Yeah. So I just give you some, historical, aspect of, whey in India. And I will tell you my story, when I joined Amul Dairy, and Amul started making cheese in way back since 1955. But of course, the cheese market was not very developed in India. It was not in the eating habits of Indians. But Amul started a very sophisticated whey plant only in 1996. You can imagine that Amul is the largest dairy company in the country. They today they handle about 26 million liter milk per day. But the cheese was not so common to eat in India. So even Amul started making cheese in proper way since 1996, right? And when I joined Amul Dairy as a MD on in 2003, this market was growing. And just to give you the perspective, in 2001 2002 there was a study done by Amul, and as per the study, only 1% of the Indian population has ever tested cheese. It's very important to understand. Ever tested cheese, forget about that they are buying regularly or they have tasted and they started consuming regularly. That was it's only 1% population has ever tested cheese, right? Of course, after that the things have changed a lot in last 20 years, 20 22 years. Now cheese is a growing market. A lot of players have come in cheese, and this is what I'm talking about, because when we are talking about Whey, we have to talk about cheese, because if there is no Whey when there is no cheese. Another aspect of this Whey is that India, of course, is not a very big cheese market, though it is growing at a very healthy rate of 15 to 17% per year. And still it's not a very big market as it is going to be in next maybe 5 10 years or 15 years. That is sure, that is written on the wall, that there is a lot of pizzerias are coming. Even Indian dishes are started using have started using cheese, and that's a is well accepted food item in Indian palate. So but Indians are using a product called, which all of you must be knowing, which is called a cottage cheese, which is called paneer in India. And this paneer is also a very big ingredient for making lot of Indian recipes in barbecue with the curries and all this thing. And it is used just like a vegetable in Indian kitchen. And this paneer also gives the a good amount of Whey. It's just like a cottage cheese, so it's also generating a lot of Whey. And the issue is that 20 years back when I was in Amul Dairy, I was totally, I was say puzzled, and it was very big problem that how to dispose Whey that time, because we were making a lot of paneer and we started making a lot of cheese. So jokingly, in the lighter vein, I used to tell our people why Whey is there, because it's so difficult to handle. That's why I've written, it was just like a why. It was not Whey. Everybody was concerned how to dispose the Whey, how to treat the Whey if it is going to effluent treatment plant. If we are not able to treat it, we have to dispose it in some farmers field and all, which was because in our cheese plant was in the rural area. So we used to dispose all the way. It was a very big headache. So what we started first step that time in 90, I would say 20 years back, 2003 or 2004, we started drying the Whey. And that was so crude drying that then it was very difficult to dry. Even we didn't have a proper powder plant also that time to dry the Whey. So what we used to do, the Whey plant is about 40 50 kilometers away from the main plant where dryer was there. So it was only 6% solid, so transporting 84% water was also very uneconomical and very inconvenient. So what we started doing, that we started RO, reverse osmosis, and concentrating little bit Whey, what it was having 84% water, so it become around 20% solids instead of 6%. And then we started drying it, but it was so sticky. There was a lot of burning of the powder, and if you are making 100 kilos of powder, 20 kilos of powder was burnt and reddish and all this thing. So it was very crude method to dispose Whey that time. And we were having a cattle feed plant where we were making cattle feed for our farmers, for their consumption, for their cows and buffaloes. So we started using the burnt and rejected Whey powder there, and at the end of the day, it was not making any economic sense, because when you are having 20% rejection, which is because of the you are not able to properly dry the Whey, of course it will not make any economic sense. So but still one thing was there, that we were at least not throwing it away. So as I written, that it was a disposal problem, how to dispose the huge quantity of Whey, because we were making around 30 40 tons of cheese per day that time. So it was, you can understand that how much Whey will be generated if you take 1:10 ratio. So about 300,000 liter of milk, and then you can have Whey about 85%. So same with the even the disposal cost was there. We have to hire some tankers and to do all these things. So what I mean to say in this slide, that this was a big issue 20 years back in India, how to dispose Whey, because basically it was a paneer Whey as well as cheese Whey. But we were the first to establish a very big cheese plant, so we didn't have any reference of what to do with the Whey processing. After that, uh, We established cheese plant in 1996, and then we were having proper whey drying plant in 2010, after 13 14 years, because it was, where is the market of whey product, how to, put the capex in whey, what are the technology we have to do. So we started working on that, and there was some kind of, you have to have capex and money for that. So we started working on the whey drying plant, and it was basically a demineralized whey powder. So we had ion exchange, and then we had crystallization and evaporator, and then we have started making proper whey powder. And this was used for the, we used to sell to bakery industry, a good bakery company in India. So this was the first step. Why I'm referring to all that, that it's not a very old story in India to you start using whey. It is hardly, I would say, 20 years, not even 20 years, 15 years maximum, right? Because we started around 2009 or 10. So, but after that, things are not the same, I would say. Still, people are, some people who are making some paneer, they don't have that much capex to put into whey drying plant, or do the further processing of whey. So they, what they mix in SMP, skim milk powder, and then when you make the skim milk powder with the whey, whatever 10%, 20%, of course the protein level will go down, because whey contains about 11 to 12% protein against the SMP of 33, 34. So if you add some whey, so overall protein will come down of SMP, so it will become 31% or maybe 30%. But that has a different market, where people, they don't know, they don't require a lot of SMP. So it is just like, how to dispose it. I'm coming from that era where Indian dairy were totally, clueless how to dispose. Now from disposal, now we have come to value addition. This is a totally reverse. In 10 15 years, the kind of technologies which has come, the kind of market which has been in the horizon, in terms of ingredient, in terms of other value added products, innovative products, in terms of protein rich food items. I will come to that later. So you know, and then at that time also, people used to do a lot of, let us use whey drink, and in the summer it will be chilled whey drink with some orange flavor or some citric flavor. But this was not a very long term solution. It can be summer India, in India summer is only for 3 4 months, and after that, you have to make a proper supply chain, because it's not a very stable product and all these things. So there are a lot of issues were there. What I mean to say, there was no as such, no other, way to, really, valorize the way. So this was a kind of a situation about 20 years back in India. But now situation is changing, as I have written it. We have, we have to have economics, because if we are able to get better realization from whey, your main product becomes cheap. And if you are not able to do that, your main product becomes expensive, whether it may be paneer or any kind of cheese. It may be any cheese, exotic cheese or processed cheese or whatever it is. So that is one thing, because now people need economical product with the better quality. So that is economics part of the way. Demand of whey products, which I'll come afterwards. And it is also a very big ingredient market as a whey product. We are talking about baby food, we are talking about some other things. So in that sense, this is also very important market for ingredient, as well as a lot of consumer product, which I'll mention afterwards. Next slide, please. Yeah. So as I've mentioned some point here, but let me just briefly tell you about the situation in India and supply side. So as I told, and everybody knows, that whey will come mainly from cheese per production. And cheese, as I told, that we have cottage cheese and processed cheese, right? But if you take the cottage cheese, which is paneer market, this is very huge market in India. But the problem is, this is 90% unorganized. When I say unorganized, there are a lot of small players, because it contains moisture of say about 52%, and then unorganized sector gives a huge moisture about 65%, or maybe 70%, up to 70%. And then it is sold as organized, very lower rate to the public. Maybe it is available even the some confectionery shop, sweet shop in India. So it is a very huge unorganized market, but they are generating whey. And now the trend is changing, that all the Indian dairy companies, they have paneer as a branded packed paneer with the minimum shelf life from 21 days to 75 days. So it has become a kind of a, it has changed the entire profile of paneer in spite of, very unorganized. It is becoming now in organized sector. So 90% unorganized will be keep shifting to the organized paneer market. So if you take any paneer, any dairy company in India, they are making paneer. So they make paneer with some kind of automation, some kind of mechanization, and after that it is thermized so that the shelf life is more, or vacuum packed in the seal, vacuum packed and sealed. So the shelf life is now coming up to 75 days. So then when shelf life becomes 75 days, it can travel more and more markets, so that you can capture the market if your paneer quality is good, and it is able to capture it, reach to the longer markets or distant markets. So this is one. So what I would say that if you take the total cheese and paneer market in India, so the we have more accurate data in terms of, you know uh, uh, processed cheese or cheese what we sell in India, which is uh, you know uh, I would say this 25,000 ton per annum. Sorry, it will be 25,000 tons per year. Sorry, this 20,000 per year is very huge market. As far as cheese is concerned, that is about 100,000 tons per annum. So it's a very big gap between cheese market and paneer market. It's almost, I would say, very big, very big gaps. So but 2 to 3 to 4 times than this thing, and that is also unorganized. Paneer is also unorganized. So there is a lot of unorganized sector which is selling a lot of paneer, which is unaccountable. What I mean to say that now with both the things, if you put together, then cheese market is growing at a 15% growth rate minimum, and still we have 5% household penetration. In India, only 5% people are using cheese in house in their house, because still it is house out of home consumption in India, like in pizzas or maybe some other application which people go to the hotel and do that. So this is one. So supply side, I would say, as more and more cheese is becoming, where if you take 100,000 tons per annum market in India, and it is growing at 15% per year, which is very healthy growth, I would say. There is will be a lot of wage generation out of that. Of course, when I am talking paneer is also very big market, but once it is going from unorganized to organized, the chances of processed way or processing of way becomes more and more viable and more possible, because if you have a small sector, a small cottage industry kind of thing, people just throw the away. But when it goes to the organized sector like Amul or any other brand, which is there are more than 50 brands in India, and which are doing relatively good job in processed food or processed dairy, so they will start using whey in a proper way. So this is one. Second is that low awareness on the whey value addition. Here, when you talk about whey, people normally they don't understand, or they don't have that kind of vision that what level the whey can be value added. And based on that, when we are suppose once somebody is putting a cheese plant or a automatic paneer plant, because now people are started using automatic paneer plant, so their investments are not synchronized, because they think that my main project is paneer plant or cheese plant. So when they make this investment, they are not thinking about that what I am going to do with whey, and then they don't make the investment at that time, and then till that we understand that what we are going to do, and after that there is no synchronize. If they will do the something on way, as even Amul did after 10 15 years after putting the cheese plant. So this is also one of the problem, but this is now improving. Now people have understood, and now the integrated plants are coming. So when people are making cheese plant, they are also taking care of whey processing. But the issue is that even if you see the whey value addition, there is a lot of possibilities are there as you go along with the whey processing and doing more and more value addition of the whey, which is basically comes from filtration, type of filtration which you are doing, and after that how you are using that filtered product. This investment is very high because most of the investment are imported. Means we don't manufacture those kind of filtration processing and filtration equipment. So that is also one of the, I would say, bottlenecks or prohibiting point where people don't want to invest so heavily that even the whey processing investment become more than paneer or cheese investment. So this is also one of the inhibitive, prohibitive side of that. And then commodity versus branded whey products. So I would say both way the market is improving, a very high growth rate as far as the commodity is concerned, as even the branded whey protein products are concerned. So supply side, I would say that there is a lot of whey available in India, and the only thing is that how people will start using the proper technology investment and take the best out of the way. Next slide. Yeah, this is just to understand what exactly is the pyramid of whey processing and whey value addition. I would say that if you see the type of whey, the kind of whey, means the uses of whey, we can use in pharmaceutical, we can use in nutraceutical, we can use in functional food, we can use in cosmetics and food and feed products. Everybody knows. So these are the generic areas where whey products can be used. But when we talking about the how the you keep on adding the value to the whey, this is a pyramid which normally I think everybody knows about it, but just to give a reference, based on the market of that particular stage of the value addition what we have done. So very simple is sweet whey powder and DM40 that everybody knows. So this goes to bakery and feed industry and all this thing. So this is a very lower value addition of the whey, which is I think most of the people in India are doing. Let me tell you. So if I cut the boundary after 2 steps, people are not doing anything. Most of the people. Of course, Parag, which is my company, they have gone up to the last item. Okay, last stage. And that's what is the agenda of this meeting, is how to understand that what kind of market Indian India is developing in the whey products. Okay, so this is a very basic, not much investment is concerned, it is there. But still it has something called ion exchange, sorry, this crystallization, and ion exchange to demineralize the whey and all this thing to make some kind of sweet whey powder. After that, there is DM60, 70, DM90, which is having used in nutraceuticals, low cost malnutrition paste. This is also very big market, not only in India but other countries also. Then we have whey protein concentrate, WPC is 3570, WPC 90, which is a protein supplement, which is also has a lot of use in bakery and cake for the gelatin effect. Bodybuilding, which is also very growing market in India, where a lot of people, young people are going to gym and they want to make their muscles healthy and all these things. So a lot of this kind of market is also coming. That's why I was saying that this is from commodity also and consumer product also. So if you talk about DM40 or maybe some other products which are basically commodity, which are used as a ingredient in bakery industry, which is also very big now in India. That is also important, because when we talk about ingredient, when we talk about commodity, we have to also see that the main industry, how it is being developed. So if the whey has some maybe 0.5% or 1% or 2% ingredient as an ingredient in biscuit industry or all this thing. So but biscuit industry as such is growing so fast and so it becomes so big that even 1% ingredient as whey as an ingredient becomes, whey market also becomes very big. Like so this is also very important. After that, all the other products what we can do out of this pyramid. So this is there. But last I was written that it all depends, that all the pyramid what we have shown here, it all depends what kind of processes we are doing. It may be combination of these processes, or maybe it's one specific processes. So it's a nano filtration, ultra filtration, micro filtration, electrodialysis, ion exchange, and after that crystallization, evaporation, drying and blending, which are basically a front end operation. But you have the investments are in these processes, and we have to understand that there is a limitation who is going to invest in these processes. That is the only, I would say, bottleneck which Indian dairy they face in terms of capex. So because everything is imported and lot of investment is done here. And after that, there is absolutely no issue if somebody is going to invest, like we have invested in this kind of processes. All the processes we invested, and we are getting all the bottom of the pyramid, see the reverse pyramid, that where we have all this WP19, WPC, WPC17, DM28. This is all going to nutraceutical or maybe food and all the other things. So basically, this is a very big market potential, let me tell you, whether it's a commodity or consumer products. Next. Yeah, this I'm not going to explain because this presentation can be shared. This is just a matrix where we have shown that which way product can be applicable in which industry. So my only message on this slide is that all the industry we are talking about, industry this we are talking about, we have a big market in India, whether it's plain liquid whey or demineralized whey powder or lactose or WPC 60 or the refined lactose, pharma lactose, permeate powder. All the markets are there. A lot of companies are there which are using as ingredient, apart from the consumer packs what we have, which we are going to show in next slide. Next. Yeah. So I would say that as I told, that nutrition and protein awareness has gained. So awareness is there now. It's a young country. People understand what is protein, what is the importance of protein, and the kind of lifestyle people are having. So they want a good health and good body, good muscles, and all this. So people know what is a protein. And India is basically vegetarian society. So people know it would be good if they get protein from vegetarian sources. And in India, everybody knows milk as a very good source of protein, and everybody drinks milk. They would like to drink milk or other products. Mainly, there is no apprehension in drinking milk. So it's there, so protein there. And we have demonstrated that how Indian company can really make the best out of whey, because we are the second largest cheese manufacturer in India, and after Amul, and we have invested lot of money, lot of investment in whey processing and whey value added products. So we make all kind of sports nutrition. We have a separate brand for sports nutrition which is called Avatar, which is the only Indian brand for this category. And then otherwise there is a lot of imported stuff comes in India, the Muscle Blaze and all these things. A lot of big brands in India, they come to India, but we have replaced lot of those products with our products. So you have all kind of whey protein, iso rich, alpha whey, muscle gainer, depending on which kind of requirement is there. And the beauty is that these all the whey products are with Indian flavors. Indian, like a typical flavor, like in India there's one flavor called kulfi, which is basically ice cream, and saffron and kind of thing. Or you have mango flavor, which is very popular in India. So these kind of flavors are put, and this is also making the whole thing not a very tasteless and all these things. So this is also very good innovation we have done. And today this market is estimated to about 200 million US dollar. It's still growing very healthy rate. And we are not a very prominent player as we speak, but we want to become $200 million player maybe after 5-10 years. But that kind of market will be developed. Today maybe our share maybe 5% or maybe 10%. There is a lot of imported product comes, so we don't know the exact how much it is there, but it's the market is growing. Then we are talking about whey protein in energy bar. So this is also now people want protein in snacking. Otherwise, India has a very unhealthy snacking habits. Now, a lot of brands have come which are making healthy energy bar, which is basically whey protein with some millets and all these things. So this is also getting the trend. So you will find this kind of uh, uh, products available. Even Amul has launched very recently protein water. And this is also, I think, I'm not very much aware about the this protein water trend in rest of the world. But what I am told that it is also getting a lot of traction, because people want water, some protein in the water. But that is also, I think, is going to be trend. So what I mean to say, a lot of innovation is taking place now. Now people want that how the whey protein can be used in the food items what Indians they eat. So this is a very big I would say positive points in terms of using of whey. Because one thing is very sure, we have a very nice protein which is there in whey. And normally when people were not aware and all this thing, or they could not afford to make investment, it was thrown. And that is true. That is no second thought on it. Next slide. Yeah, you missed one. You just go to previous one, previous. So just to conclude, what is whey powder, whey forward. So first of all, whey is a very precious protein, and what we think that the cheese would be a byproduct. Today we say whey is a byproduct, but the way we can really have a very precious protein, a very value-added protein. The cheese would be the byproduct. Cheese would be the commodity, and then whey would be the same. We will be the value-added product. This is what I think is going to happen. Uh, a milk-based sport nutrition product made in India. This is also very big opportunity in India, where we are taking whey from the dairy companies, and then we are making, especially when we have acidic whey which is coming out of from paneer. So we can make lot of products which can take care of acidic whey. Uh, all the kind of whey products can be made, even if it's a pharma, nutraceutical, baby food ingredients. So this is true that people have started using Indian whey products in these industries, whether it's Nestle or Abbott or any other company. They have started using Indian whey products. We are selling to them as a company, Parag. But this is what is the market potential, where you are going to very high end value addition in terms of pharma, nutraceutical, and baby food. Uh, I would, as I said in earlier, whey lactose combination is deadly, where you are really having good, because when once you take out the whey product, you have a lactose, which also has some good in makes a very good ingredient for a lot of industry, whether it's a bakery or beverages or non-milk products, non-milk items. So these are also getting, and as we have more demand of cheese and paneer, so obviously we are going to have, we should work on the both whey and lactose combination, which is also very important. Of course, it's a capital intensive. So what we are missing in India is a consolidation. So it's not that only those dairies who are making cheese and paneer should invest into whey processing or whey value added plants. In fact, the some companies can invest only in whey, which they can collect from the nearby dairies where they are making, which is, I think, is quite common in rest of the world, which will take care of lot of issues in terms of economics of scale, in terms of plant capacities, in terms of capital in deployment. So this will be a possible a key solution, which today there is no company in India which takes care of this. The consolidation of that, you contact with all the companies who are generating whey, and then you use that way as a raw material, and that becomes a very good business proposition. I am saying that a lot of people are doing a lot of innovation in Indian food snacks with whey protein. This is also very good sign that there is a good raw material ingredient which can be used in this. And even I've shown one pyramid, but people have gone. The technology has gone beyond that. We are talking about fractionation now of whey, where we're talking about glyco macropeptide, which is a basically high-end medicinal use and all pharmaceutical grade protein. So I would say there is a good future today. We can see that in the Indian whey market, whether it's a commodity or ingredient or consumer products, and supply side will be abundance because of the big demand of paneer and cheese. So the whey will be there, and the only thing is that if somebody or Indian dairies, they really think properly at the time of designing the plant or investing in the whey and whey products technology, I think it's a very big potential for business, as well as making the cost of the main product quite reasonable, so that the demand is there. So when the cost is good, or people want to eat paneer and cheese, and then they don't find expensive paneer and cheese, so their consumption goes up. And when that consumption goes up, the whey will also grow up, the quantity of whey will grow up, and then we are able to have a very positive cycle of both cheese, paneer, and whey products. So that's what I can share with for this whey and whey products. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Raul sir. It was very, very valuable presentation, and also gives us a crux of how does the Indian dairy, Indian whey sector actually looks like, what kind of innovations are happening as of now. And one of the key points that I have taken out is the adaptation of the flavor more towards Indian palate is the factor that is actually helping the Indian whey industry grow. Thanks a lot, sir. Lauren, I would actually come to you to talk about the European whey industry and what is the production and the demand outlook looks like.
Yes, let's see if my presentation should open.
It works.
Okay. Then let me start. Let me first thanks Rahul. It was a very, very comprehensive insight in the European in the Indian dairy whey market. I'm normally not somebody who works directly like that on the involved in the factory, but I anyways hope to give everybody today a little bit an insight in what we do in Europe. So let me start. A very good day to all of you. It is a pleasure to be here and to dive further into the world of whey. I'm actually very excited about the insights in the Indian whey market, and I think, like we heard, also for European companies, I see a huge potential. So let's continue. With further ado, my name is Laurens van Delft, and I'm Director of Trade and Economics at the European Whey Processors Association, as well as EDA, the European Dairy Association. We run both secretariats. And before I forget, Prashant, of course, thank you for inviting us and allowing us to shed a little bit of light on European dairy. Because when we discuss whey in a global context, we in Europe always tend to limit ourselves a little bit to our main competitors on the world market. So then we're talking the US, we're talking New Zealand. Of course, we do look at India from a production point of view. If we look at the biggest milk producer in the world. But I would say that the market remains for outsiders still a little bit of a black box. So we already got some great insights, and I look also forward to the next presentation. But I was invited to give you something of an insight in the European whey sector. So that is what I will do. And I will start with a couple of words on our trade association, so that you know a little bit where I come from, and then mainly the Whey Association. So we're EDA, so that is the Dairy Association I talked about. That is the organization for the whole European dairy industry, and we lobby the European Union at an institutional level. The EWPA, so the Whey Processors Association, is a specific organization focusing on whey and whey derivatives. As the secretariats work together, they are complementary. So the work to be carried over for whey and dairy products is coordinated and aligned. EWPA is adding its technical knowledge and it's adding value thanks to its members' experience in the field. So within our organization, the members are the companies, the dairy ingredient companies. We just had last week our annual convention, where I thought it would be interesting to see our new leadership in the organization. Our new president is James Neville, the CEO of Volac, as you might know the company. And our new vice presidents are Matthias Hauer van Zaksenmeeg, Marion Boekas van Groep Lactalis en Benno van Mersbergen van Royal Friesland Campina. On the picture, you also see our outgoing president, who is Luis Cobel, the CEO of Arla Food Ingredients. They are already some of the companies in our membership, and next to it, a nice picture with the people that were the representatives during our meeting. And here a little bit, a short overview of our members. Here you see we've got members from north to south, from east to west in Europe, and I think that all important players in the European dairy market and the European whey market specifically are represented in our membership. You will of course see the top 5 dairy companies and their ingredient divisions. So that is actually also where we get the specific and technical knowledge from their experts. And then I will move forward. So what we do with EWPA, our work is centered around 3 pillars. So the first one is understanding the EU, internal, and the world market. How do we do that? We have a unique data set continuously generated by the membership, so the companies you just saw. And this data set includes historical and aggregated data relating to the production, sales, inventories of a defined group of whey and whey derivatives. We further provide access and we disseminate information from a wide variety of government and non-governmental bodies. One of the services we provide to the European whey sector. In addition, we are the primary knowledge platform on all matters relating to EU whey and whey derivatives. And think here of quality and safety, international standards, regulatory policy, environment and sustainability. And we drive communication for promotional purposes. We do this by websites, brochures, fact sheets, seminars, conferences. We'll tell something about it later. And one of our flagship projects currently is Whey for Living. If you go to the website, you will see something about that. And then before bothering you too much with all the association talks, I think it is also good to have a look at the current whey production trends in Europe. With an increasing part of the global population becoming more and more conscious about their health and well-being through a healthy lifestyle, balanced diet, we see a clear and sustained growth for whey protein supplementation, especially compared to other supplements. We therefore expect the whey protein market to show growth in the coming years, with an increasing demand for whey protein supplements in various shapes and forms, especially with the urban population's aspiration for a healthier lifestyle. I think that is something we also heard from the Indian market. We think that the market will be further driven by nutritional innovation. Advances in nutritional science and technology will lead to the development of new whey-based products with enhanced health benefits. This includes bioactive peptides, functional foods, and personalized nutrition solutions. We think that the market will be driven by sustainable practices. The industry will continue to adopt more sustainable practices, driven by both regulatory requirements and consumer demands for environmental friendly products. This includes improvements in energy efficiency, waste reduction, and the use of renewable resources. We think that there's a real role for digitalization and automation. The adoption of digital technologies and automation will enhance operational efficiency, product quality, and traceability. This includes the use of data analytics, the Internet of Things, advanced process control systems. And we think, and we look at global expansion. European whey processors will further expand their presence in emerging markets, leveraging their expertise in high-quality dairy production. And this will involve strategic partnerships, investments in local production facilities, and tailored product offerings. which I here have a verses, but it brings us by the supply side of the whey. As EWPA, we question the capability of a supply of whey solids and if that is sustaining the potential demand on the global market. Two notable developments when it comes to that. We see that milk production in several of the key export regions in the world appears to be facing its limitations. And environmental policy ambitions and their implementation at agricultural level are posing additional barriers for further growth of the supply of raw material. So how does that look if we zoom out and look at the European Union and versus its global competitors? If we look at the United States, here, if we look at the market in the United States, we see that the US is likely to add significant volumes of whey to the market, driven by a range of new cheese plants that are going online in the coming years. If we look at innovation and technology, we see that the EU as well as the US are highly innovative, but Europe tends to lead in sustainability practices and regulatory compliance. If we look at the product range, we see that European processors offer a broader range of specialty whey products, catering to diverse markets as infant nutrition, medical nutrition, and functional foods. To the other side of the world, and if we look at New Zealand, we see that New Zealand is known for its high quality dairy products. I think we can compare that to Europe, but with a stronger emphasis on grass-fed and organic whey proteins. And just like Europe, sustainability is prioritized, but here Europe has a more competitive, has more comprehensive regulations and initiatives driven by the European Green Deal, one of the flagship policies in the European Union to become more sustainable. Then we thought we also add India as a global competitor. If it is not now, it will be in the future. I think that that is a done deal. Emerging markets. India's whey processing, if you ask us, is in its developing stage compared to Europe. Focus is more still on basic processing and less on advanced products like WPIs, hydrolyzed whey proteins. Of course, there are exemptions, but if we talk about volume, then this is what we think the current status is. Technology and infrastructure. European whey processors benefit from advanced technologies and a robust infrastructure, where we see that India is still developing its processing capabilities. Good development. And if we look at the regulatory environment, we see that Europe has more established and stringent regulatory framework, also mentioned before. So ensuring high standards of quality and safety. We see that India's regulations are evolving with increasing a focus on improving food and safety standards. So that is that also indeed fits the image of an upcoming giant when it comes to dairy and its presence on the global markets. So what does this mean for the future? The unprecedented level of uncertainty in today's world makes it almost impossible to answer that question. We also looked at that. I think, to be honest, if I had the answer, if I could put a dot on the horizon or a fixed number, I would have had the wrong job. I should have become a trader, but I'm not. We just came out of a global pandemic, only to be confronted, at least in Europe, with war. We see unrest in the Middle East. We see trade disputes upcoming, for instance, with China, between China and the European Union. And then on top of this, so all next to the humanitarian tragedy, we see a huge economic impact reflected in energy scarcity and in high inflation rates. So while the macroeconomic trend of growing world population is set to continue, we will see if the forecast for the growth of the world middle class will have to be corrected. Climate change, we think, maybe will be one of the factors that could lead to such a reassessment of the development of the world middle class. We know that climate change is a reality, and we also all know that the basis of dairy and our whey businesses depends on weather and climate conditions. So there we definitely see a number of challenges. But uncertainty does not absolve us of the responsibility to look ahead. So what have we done within EWPA? We have taken an approach to analyze the future potential of our sector with setting different scenarios, which we have presented in our EWPA Whey Protein 2030 Outlook. And this exercise, it is not only an out-of-the-box thinking exercise, but we have had lengthy discussions between Whey executives, experts from the sector, and like I said, it was really a thorough process. And we started with the fundamentals based on 2015-2022 milk production and cheese production, and the trends in the main whey regions. Again, the US, the EU, and Oceania. And here we dared forecasting a picture by discussing our assumptions and our considerations, and we looked at a variety of policy developments. So in a nutshell, what I can say something about that, the outcome of our thoughts. So we expect that the milk production growth is rather limited, but we see a high probability for the milk to be allocated in growing cheese production. It was already said, cheese remains is the main source of whey, and at the same time it is the European flagship dairy product. So there we see some good news. And then the second core building block of our analysis, when we were setting our scenarios, was defining two high impact and high uncertainty axes to look for different scenarios. Of course, one could discuss the chosen axis. This is what we have done, because we think in the European context these were the relevant ones. But this allows us at least to explore four contrasting scenarios. So depending mainly on the evolution of consumer preferences and the policy balance between food security and environmental restrictions, that is the field we looked at. And then, of course, the next step on the ladder is, what does this mean for the whey sector? What will happen with demand for key products, WPC 80, WPC 35, WPI, whey powder? And then, of course, we ask ourselves how much residual whey, what is left for the broad spectrum of other products we produce. Think of sweet whey powder, demineralized whey. So is there still enough in the market? So questions that we ask ourselves: do we expect a policy prioritization of food security and food availability with an adapted implementation path of environmental ambitions? Or will we see a high political priority on implementing the environmental ambitions? For those who follow European politics a little bit, you see we're now at this pivotal point where we will see which direction this might go into. So that, of course, might also give us a little bit of direction in the different scenarios. When it comes to consumer trends, will we see a further evolution of consumer trends towards plant-based and cell-cultured proteins? Do we believe that a consumer preference remain on our side? I think if we look globally, then it's a safe bet that animal protein are considered the prime source of nutrition. So also our whey products. On a European level, again, we are following this very closely. Has to be seen, and and again, the scenarios allow us to adapt as well. And it goes maybe a little bit too far for this session to go to every scenario in detail, where you will see what we expect will happen to the availability of the whey. But you're more than invited to go to our EWP website. There you can find it. But I think it is also good to mention that if we look at these scenarios, then it is interesting to see that which one will become predominant is also up to us as a sector. So we can shape the future of the whey in 2030. That is, we do that promotion with just the quality of our products. And we believe that the other determined factor is policy choices. So here we and on the other side of the ocean or in India, of course, the whole whey community, we only have the option to inform our decision makers over the world of the importance of whey. I think that is a common task we have, as we are the suppliers of essential nutrition, functionality, and high quality ingredients to a broad range of consumer products. The previous presentation, I think, gave a good overview. So our industry has the mission to create added value for consumers today and in the future. And as part of the whey sector, as part of the wider dairy industry, is and remains the driving force for the livelihoods of farming communities. Also, I think that is an important message that we try to get ahead. And I think we're also front runners in terms of circularity and sustainability. So I'm slowly coming to a conclusion. So the European whey processors landscape is vital, and it's an evolving sector within the dairy industry, increasing in importance. We see that with higher milk prices, allocation to cheese, but the margins become more and more important. So the high price has to be brought up, and whey is really a way of valorization that is starting to play a more and more important role. We believe that the whey market is characterized by or is driven by growing demand for protein-rich foods, continuous innovation, a strong focus on sustainability. But we also see a number of challenges. I think here of the availability of raw material, price volatility, regulatory compliance, and sustainability. But altogether, the future promises further advancements in innovation, further advancement in sustainable practices. I mentioned before digitalization, global expansion, with also European actors becoming more and more active in the emerging markets. And we believe that the European whey industry will remain dynamic and competitive. So also a couple of bullet points. Whey demand for nutritional and specialized applications will continue to grow. The supply of high quality whey will be limited. At least that is really from a European perspective. So that is unlikely to keep up with demand. The defined market drivers plus ongoing whey innovation will lead to an increased value of whey in the future, as we mentioned. And in a more volatile world, long-term partnerships of producers and customers will be beneficial, not least by providing certainty in uncertain times. And then before I give the floor back, I would like to draw the attention to the upcoming International Whey Conference. I think in this seminar we see the whole world coming together. I think that Dublin also is a unique chance. 800 experts, 15 till 18 September in Dublin, coming together under the header "The Way Forward." I think we all have a responsibility and to show force and to keep providing the world with the nutrition products we do. So the only thing I can say, I hope to see you there in large numbers and maybe have the chance to meet some of you in person. And for now, I will give back the floor, and I think we can continue discussing Whey, Indian Whey. And if there are questions about Europe, I will try to answer them, and otherwise maybe in writing or get back to you at a later stage. I'll do my best.
Yeah, thanks, Lauren. Thanks a lot for the descriptive European Way presentation. Now, I would like to come to Dave. Would be great, like if you can share your presentation. And in the meantime, guys, please keep posting your questions in the chat box. We would like to take them directly with the audience. Please, Dave. Dave, I think like you're, we are seeing ourselves. You are not sharing the right screen. Let me know if you want me to share it on your behalf. That's perfectly fine for me. It works. Yes, perfect. You're on mute, Dave. I would. So it's on top, Dave. If you see, look at the banner on the top. This is where you can mute or unmute yourself.
No, I'm just trying to. Sorry, I'm just trying to get it to full screen.
Okay, perfect. No, we can see it pretty well.
Okay, well, I'll just do it this way then. Good morning, good evening, everybody. Thanks for spending the time coming out. I appreciate giving me the opportunity to speak, giving insight from a non-manufacturing point of view. More of I'm on the trading side of things, so I don't actually produce anything. I'm more of just in the market, and we're buying, selling, and we come from a different world, a different dynamic, and all that. So would like to give you a little bit of input and insight on the view of a trader on how we deal with supply chain management out of Europe to India specifically, and some of the issues that we handle and we go through on our end. To begin with, there'll be three main topics I'm going to discuss. Insights on the supply chain from Europe to India, challenges and opportunities in meeting India's demand, and thirdly, potential solutions and strategies for improving supply chain efficiency. I'll just get started here. On the first slide here, just a quick little slideshow here, just kind of goes through, or sorry, flowchart just goes through the process of actually what happens, how do we get to our products. So essentially you start with the cheese and then it comes to the whey. Once it gets to the liquid whey, we then split it. It goes to whey permeate, which then further gets processed for lactose and ethanol. And if you go the other way, it produces the higher end proteins, which is our whey powder, our WPCs, isolates, and whatnot. So to give you an idea, there are two streams of where the whey does get separated, and these are the two product segments that do get produced from that going forward. Next slide is one more step further in depth into the processing of the whey, of all the different commodities and products that are produced from the whey stream itself. And as you can see, once we do get past the whey proteins itself, you can further protease into milk protein and then caseins and caseinates. And so it just doesn't stop at just whey powder itself or lactose. It further goes into three more segments and gets further defined into more pure protein products. Moving along here. One of the things that being on the trade side of things, it was hard to compile data. And one of the issues that we were finding where there was little reliable data available for the EU market. And if you look at the screen that I've got up here right now, the whey production data, if we can see, is readily available for the US and New Zealand for that matter. And when we look at this chart here, we can look at total cheese production, the whey stream that's come out, and the dry whey equivalent production. Now you can see I have the information for the US and New Zealand, but we don't have that information for the EU. The only information that we were able to compile from that is what the dry equivalent exports are of the powder, and that gives us this number. But at the end of the day, we still don't have a good, accurate representation of what is actually produced. And I know Lawrence probably, he's like, I have all that information. However, coming from my world, for us, these things are not easily accessible, and there are a lot of unknowns that go on in this area. But to give you a little idea of what we're looking at, what kind of things that we run into, this is a big problem. And translating that back to India, if we're not getting the right information in terms of what is available for the market, it's harder for the people that are in that market to come out and purchase or look for forward supply, or even going one step further and deciding, do we go to Europe? Do we go to Oceania? Do we come back to North America and the US? Where do we go to get our supply if we're not going to get it? And so I just wanted to bring that to light, that, these are the types of things that we are experiencing on our end. Domestic consumption for Europe are largely estimates with large error terms. Export statistics are used to create the estimates and may vary substantially. So really, it's like a gray area of what the volumes are, is the bottom line conclusion on this. Some more clarity, I think, would help us go a lot further in terms of what is available and what can be supplied out of the EU market in particular. Supply availability is network driven and price discovery and transaction based. So essentially, strength of the network is an asset in the protein trade. Knowledge is power, and that's the best way to put that. More information we have, the more you can strategize and figure out how you're going to run your business and where you're going to go forward on that. Moving along, first question was, or first topic we're going to discuss is insights on the supply chain from Europe to India. One of the questions that was posed to me was, first question was, provide just a general overview of the supply chain landscape between Europe and India. Just to give you a quick little overview here, the European Union is one of the largest producers of milk and milk products, with the top 6 producers being Germany, France, Poland, the Netherlands, Italy, and Ireland. EU is a major exporter of cheese and other high-value dairy products, with the biggest exporters being the European Union, New Zealand, and the United States. The dairy sector in the EU is protected by mechanisms such as public intervention and aid for private storage, which help to stabilize the market and ensure a fair price for producers. India is the world's largest producer and consumer of dairy products, and the demand for dairy products in India is expected to increase due to population and income growth. Previously, the EU was not a significant exporter of dairy products to India, as India's dairy industry is largely self-sufficient and the country has a large domestic market of its own. This trend is now beginning to change as the EU increases sales to the Indian market as demand increases. India was one of the first countries to establish diplomatic relations with the European Union, but economic and political relations have long been better defined with individual member states. The impact of Brexit on the Indo-EU relationship has been significant, with the UK having a special relationship with India due to their shared history. However, the opportunities for the EU dairy exporters to target the Indian market, particularly for high-value products such as cheese and whey powder. The EU and India have a bilateral trade agreement that includes provisions for dairy trade, and the EU is working to increase its dairy exports to India. So clearly, in summary, I mean, the European market is one of the major supply areas for India, and is a big focus for them as well. I think the EU is looking at India as a major market for them, and vice versa. India is looking at the EU as a major supplier for them. I'll get into more details now of why that is to be. And we'll move on to our next slide here. Next, we'll discuss some key factors influencing supply chain dynamics. There's five actual key factors that actually do influencing the supply chain dynamic. One is trade regulation and agreements. The EU and India have been negotiating trade agreements, including the EU-India Free Trade Agreement, Investment Protection Agreement, and Geographical Indications Agreement. These agreements aim to create a transparent, non-discriminatory business environment for European companies trading with or investing in India. Secondly, economic growth and market potential. India is one of the world's fastest growing large economies with an annual projected GDP growth rate of over 8%. It represents a sizable and dynamic market, making it an attractive destination for EU businesses. Thirdly, trade volume and investment. The EU is India's third largest trading partner, accounting for 88 billion euros worth of trade in goods in 2021. India is EU's 10th largest trading partner. The EU is a significant foreign investor in India with around 6,000 European companies operating there. So we can see just the sheer volume of trade that goes on between the two countries. It's substantial. Fourthly, challenges in regulatory environment. India's trade regime and regulatory environment remain relatively restrictive. Technical barriers to trade, sanitary and phytosanitary measures, and deviations from internationally agreed standards affect various sectors. I'll get into that a little bit later on of how that is affecting trade. Lastly, the EU works with India to ensure fair market access and predictable investment conditions. And number 5 is logistics infrastructure. We all know logistics is a big issue on all regions of the world, not just the trade between, not just the lanes between EU and India, but everywhere. That is one of the major things that need to be looked at going forward. Next, move on to what are the main challenges faced by European suppliers in meeting the demand of the Indian market. We've got there's five things that I found that were the most important that affected us in our business, at least. Number 1, diverse compliance in e-invoicing regulations. European suppliers must navigate complex e-invoicing regulations across Europe and beyond. Seamlessly automating e-invoicing in multiple countries format is essential. I think by doing this, going into these type of technologies, it further makes the transactions a lot more easier and a lot more, I think, adaptable to all the regions. Cutting out all the paperwork and all the excess administrative stuff does speed this up, and I think it improves accuracy as well. Secondly is cultural adaptation. Understanding India's diverse culture, business practices, and communication styles is crucial. Building strong relationships with Indian partners requires cultural sensitivity. India, primarily culturally we have strong ties to our roots and whatnot. So as other markets are looking into our market, they need to also consider what our cultural values are and things that we respect and kind of go along those guidelines. So everybody kind of is at an equal playing field and there's no issues that could occur from that. Thirdly, infrastructure constraints. India's infrastructure, including transportation networks and logistics, can pose challenges. Suppliers need to find efficient ways to transfer goods within the country. Fourthly, market competition. India's market is highly competitive with both local and international players. European suppliers must differentiate their products and services effectively. And lastly, tariffs and import duties. European goods are often subject to import duties when entering India. Managing costs and pricing strategies become critical. In summary, European suppliers must adapt to regulatory, cultural, and competitive factors to successfully meet the demand in India's dynamic market. Moving along, we'll move on to our second topic here, challenges and opportunities in meeting India's demand. How does the infrastructure in India affect the efficiency and supply chain? There's three main topics that are to be discussed here. Number 1 is inadequate transportation networks. Poor road conditions and congestion hinder the seamless movement of goods. Limited cold storage capacities affect the perishable goods transportation. Secondly, outdated warehousing facilities. Aging warehouses contribute to delays and increased costs. Modernizing warehouse practices is essential for efficiency. Thirdly, energy efficiency and investment. India needs to invest in an integrated logistics network across modes. Example, road, rail, waterways, air, etc. Prioritizing high return programs and adopting energy efficient solution is critical. In summary here, addressing infrastructure bottlenecks is vital for an efficient supply chain for India. Next, recent shifts in demand within the Indian market, seen from the West, that international suppliers should be aware of. Things that we're seeing, one of the biggest things that we're finding out of the West, be it North America, is there is a big issue between the government, political issues between the health certificates that are being produced out of the U.S. Due to health certificate regulations, purchasing of U.S. supplied dairy products has significantly decreased over the past 5 years. There are loopholes we are hearing about that the U.S. product is entering in India, but is not entering legally in some cases. More focus has been put onto the other regions of the world, such as Europe, Middle East, to supply dairy products to India. Ultimately, U.S. origin products are still more desired by the Indian market, more than any other regions in the world. But because of these political issues, they've still put a ban on certain specifications of our health certificate, which enables us not to be able to export our product. That in turn is putting pressure on Europe because a lot of the Indian clients that are looking for protein in specific have not much option other than Europe to go to. And that's putting pressure on the European market. As I stated earlier, they're not, and Lawrence did as well, the production of these high-end products are limited, and the European market can consume all of it on its own. So having India come in and a large market of that nature, for them to come in and say, hey, we need this product, they could probably buy out the whole European market in one shot and not have anything left for domestic supply, right? So this is a huge, huge problem we need to look at. And I think politically, if the US, or let's just call it North America, can work together along with India and sort this out, I think we can rectify the issue. And more so, I think all these new facilities that are coming on in North America, all these new cheese plants that are automatically going to be producing these high-end proteins, WPC80, WPI, they're going to need a home for these. And you know what? The number one emerging market is India, and they're just going to have to figure it out. The loopholes that are going on, it is at your risk. You can do it. You can do what you want. If you get caught, you can pay the fines, etc. Right? But we don't promote that, nor do we want to push that avenue. But it is going on, and these types of things are occurring. So we would need to keep a very close eye on that and see how we can improve that as we move forward. What strategies can be employed to overcome logistical challenges in the supply chain between Europe and India? Number one, embrace the Industry 5.0. Integrate digital technologies and smart factory concepts. Upskill the workforce and implement data-driven manufacturing solutions. Secondly, integrate ESG, environmental, social, and governance parameters. Reduce carbon footprints, promote renewable energy, and enhance responsible sourcing. Thirdly, proactive inflation management. Identify waste and reduce costs. Develop multi-year optimization programs and leverage digital technologies. And fourth, agile adaptation to consumer dynamics. Swiftly respond to changing consumer preferences, stay flexible, and adjust supply chains accordingly. In conclusion, a holistic and forward-thinking approach is essential to navigate the challenges and opportunities in the Indian-European supply chain. Move on to the third topic here, potential solutions and strategies for improving supply chain efficiency. How can technology and digitalization enhance supply chain efficiency in this context? There are a few points that I thought were worth discussing on this. First is real-time visibility. implement IoT, Internet of Things, sensors to track shipments, monitor inventory, and optimize routes. Real-time data enables better decision-making and reduces delays. Blockchain, second point is blockchain for transparency. Blockchain technology ensures transparency and traceability across the supply chain. It helps prevent fraud, enhances trust, and simplifies documentations. Move forward. Next, predictive analytics. Use AI and machine learning to forecast demand, optimize inventory levels, and prevent stockouts. Predictive models improve planning and accuracy. Fourth, automation and robotics. Automated warehouses, robotic picking, and autonomous vehicles streamline operations. They reduce manual errors and enhance speed. One of the things we want to look at here is obviously efficiency. So there is a lot of room here for advancement and correction that needs to be done. I feel that by utilizing these 4 points that I outlined just above here, it will definitely improve the supply chain efficiency moving forward. I mean, these just outline general issues that are occurring out there right now. But if they tackle these and we get ahead of these issues, I think it'll be more of a smooth transition for execution of more trade between the two markets once we get a handle of these issues. Obviously, these all require heavy investment from both parties involved, and unless everybody's both on the same page, it is a very difficult task to overtake on one end. But these are very crucial elements that need to be looked at in order to make a smooth and proper movement of the product between the two markets. Remember, resilience requires a balance between efficiency and preparedness. And next, we will discuss how risk management strategies can be developed and implemented to ensure a resilient supply chain. First, comprehensive audits. Regularly assess suppliers, processes, and vulnerabilities. Identify potential risks and take proactive measures. Diversified sourcing. Work with diversified sourcing. Work with multiple suppliers across regions, reduce dependency on single sourcing. Anybody who's in the market that's buying any sort of commodities knows this. You never want a single source anywhere. You are always at the mercy of that supplier, whether it be their supply availability or pricing. Does not give much competitive edge against anybody. I mean, that's one of the things that everybody, I think, that's in this industry knows. The more qualified supplies you have, more access to alternative supply line, the better off you are. Leaving it to one source, it's a very dangerous game to play, so to say. Thirdly, effective inventory management. Maintain safety stocks to handle disruptions. Optimize inventory levels based on demand fluctuations. Lastly, strategic risk monitoring. Monitor geopolitical, economic, and environmental risks. Be prepared to adapt swiftly. And just the appendix, just so some things to take away with. Supply, domestic consumption in the US and the EU. Stream return differences between the various waste streams, which is a function of domestic and FOB prices for forward commitments. Factors influencing investments in capacity expansion, higher cost of capital, challenges with line of sight into demand due to recession expectations, political risk. Approximately 65% of the world has elections in 2024. There is policy uncertainty. We all know the whole world is going into election right now. We can see all government bodies are slowly being overturned or removed, or however you want to look at it. They are changing drastically. So that is going to make a big difference going forward. I mean, if we can get certain political parties out of the way, it will open up the markets for both North America, EU, and India, all three of us. I think it'll collectively be beneficial for everybody once these types of changes occur. And lastly, demand, line of sight into supply availability, economic blends, foreign exchange rate, and FTAs. And the end. that's it. A lot of information, I'm sure.
Thanks a lot,
But
Dave. I
thanks
think
for hearing me out. It was a
it
quick
was a very
summary. I
good
had a lot more to say,
presentation.
but it's very hard to pack it all in.
Yeah,
Um,
but you did a very good job. Thank you for the presentation. I think like you had in your appendix, you had really had some very interesting points that we should pick during our question and answer session. So like we have already had our three presentations. I would like to actually present four slides that I had prepared that I wanted to present when I was opening, but somehow kept on putting me at hold. So just coming back to those slides, uh, because India is definitely seeing a massive growth because of the population. Our demography is perfectly right. We have like a lot of young people, incomes are increasing, urbanization is there. That is also kind of having a bit of a formalization of the dairy sector. And the biggest thing is that is like how Indians are interacting with milk is changing. Earlier, we were mostly consuming milk. Now we are eating more milk and drinking high value ingredients. And that has also been being reflected into how our processing facilities are faced. So we are seeing more and more high throughput processing plants being set up. This is what also was mentioned by Rahul sir. Um, uh, we also have seen a lot of Whey brands coming into the business, and I think this is where I was very curious to understand. Uh, Dave, you had this point about line of sight because a lot of these businesses are not like Avatar, they are not like Muscle Blaze, they are not big businesses, but pretty much young businesses that have just come up after 2020. They have started producing something or being getting it produced by someone without having a line of sight. And also, if you see, this is exactly my home location, and if you just see, it's a meter at 100 meter. Um, there are multiple gyms coming up, so young people want to look good. They want to put a lot of effort onto how on their physique, and that's why they're also going for products that would actually help them retain those muscle mass, and that's why Whey is becoming extremely popular. Let's talk about the imported Whey. So it has actually volume wise, the volume versus 2022, 2023, like it has doubled and it has gone 100%. And a lot of it has come from definitely from Europe and US, despite having a significant tariff barrier. Just imagine, like it's just the sheer interest in this particular product. But there is also a massive need that we need to talk about. India is pretty deficit with protein, be it plant-based protein, be it animal source protein. We have pretty deficits. Here's um, a chart from National Family Health Survey. Despite slightly older data, 2015-16, we see prevalence of underweight children is pretty high. That is this is where dairy can put some can put some value. And also, if there was a survey that was done about the muscle health and muscle mass of men and women in different cities, and it was more than, just imagine, more than 50% in most of these places, people were weaker. They didn't had enough protein in their body. So it's pretty shocking. And I think like that also presents a massive opportunity. But when we talk about the why a lot of these things like can be manufactured, but also would have to be imported from the global market, because we have built a scenario, three scenarios about the Indian dairy, and we are seeing that we are going into a high demand scenario where growth is happening. Like Indian economy is growing by 7 to 8%, and this is where we see that by 2030 India would be net deficit, and we would need more and more. They will depend upon more and more imported proteins. So that was the overall reason for us to even organize this session. So that's when now I would actually like to come to the Q&A session. Lawrence, would my first question would be from you. How do you see and anticipate if we go into a scenario where India becomes a net importer and we are very heavily consuming whey proteins? How do you see like Europe is going to meet those demands, or they would start creating some restrictions, or they would produce more?
Sorry, you're talking about a scenario where India would become a net importer.
Yes.
Well, I think, to be honest, I think we would welcome that chance. I saw already some other questions, and it was also raised previously. Now that for now, of course, we have to see at the end if we can keep up our raw material supply. It is, in the worst case scenario, we see a strong reduction, some say even 20-30% in some countries of the herd. What does that mean for milk? So at the end, it might be that we walk up to our boundaries as an exporter. That is true. I think we'll look into product diversification, trying to always raise the bar in making the most concentrated, the most value-added products. And I think we would be willing to. We are looking at India. We have seen in China that market is going down is a big word, but at least the growth seems to be a little bit out of that market. I think that India could substitute that, but I'll be honest, I don't want to offend anybody, but it is, let's say, it's a difficult market to enter. That is, we're not only talking about tariffs.
Is the best way to put it.
We are talking about, tariffs is one. Besides the fact that it is a huge producer himself, I saw in the question something about the veterinary certificates was also brought up from the US. This is also, for instance, for the EU a problem. It is not for every country. In the EU, it is the national veterinary authorities who sign off the health certificates. But there are countries we have the product-specific problems with the cheeses, some of the yeast, the molds. That is doable. But the new certificate has also some requirements that cannot be fulfilled in every country because the how do you call it? The laboratories don't test those type of residues. So currently we are not, or at least we're not using. We are, but with the new certificate, it will be a new hindrance, allowing us not our full export potential. And to be honest, no, we would be willing to step into that market, but access remains a difficult point. I also understand that India is not that willing to discuss dairy in our free trade negotiations. That is, it remains a difficult market. So many people that we cannot ignore it, but let's hope that in the upcoming years that becomes a little bit streamlined. And I think, to be honest, that investments from Europe and from European firms could also help lift up the Indian dairy industry, maybe in partnerships of in foreign investments.
Yeah, thanks, Lawrence. My next question is to you, Rahul sir. In your presentation, you talked about the consolidation. You proposed that there should be a consolidation, or there should be a company, something like Milk Specialties in US, or let's say Volac in the EU, which is collecting whey from different streams. So, what is your observation about? As of now, we don't have anything, or do you think anything is in pipeline? Anything can come up? Would be good to get your opinion on that. And second question would be, what is your opinion? Will India be able to meet its own demand in-house, or we need to rely on imports in the current and the long term?
Yeah. So to answer your first question, right now we don't have any company who's doing the consolidation, and when it's not there, I think that is the opportunity. Because this is very logically, can be established that everybody who's making cheese cannot go into that kind of investment and value addition, which requires a lot of investment and economics of scales. I should consolidate the whole thing and then make the cost of production also very low. That is one thing. You have to understand that in spite of 40% duty, a lot of imports are taking place, especially in the sports nutrition category, right? In spite of 40% duty. And it's almost, I would say, 90% imported material coming, except Avatar. There is no Indian brand. So this is one. Second is, there is a potential to manufacture here in a very economical way, and then market is huge. So that is one. I think there is a good scope of consolidation, and somebody should try to do that. Second is you're talking about the demand. I would say if you talk about the whey product, is except the very low end like DM and all these things, sweet whey powder, most of the whey products which are used as an ingredient in pharma and nutraceutical is still imported. And I always add lactose also under whey, because it is also a very good base for a lot of industry, which is also go in line with the way. When you are talking whey, then you get lactose also on the other stream. So we have this pharma grade lactose is also very big demand in India, because we are one of the biggest pharmaceutical industry in the world, and that most of the pharma grade lactose is a very good demand. So this once somebody makes whey, then lactose also comes out of that. So I would say that today is high end whey products are already being imported. You are saying net importer. I think we are still importing everything.
Yeah.
It's not that we are we are not, we are total importer. We are not a net importer. We are importing everything. So
Yeah.
that's why when we started with the consumption of paneer and cheese, right?
Yeah.
And then we started with we were not doing any value addition. Now people have started doing value addition. Still, the see in US and across the world, the way processing itself is a big industry in terms of economies of scale. That's why the cost of production is so low that in spite of 40% duty, the Indians or other countries, they are importing, right? And another thing is also that we had recently one report on the specifically to imported nutritional grade nutritional sports nutrition product. I'm not saying it's from Europe or US, but it comes from various countries which was having a lot of quality issues in terms of the ingredients. So it was soya isolate, it was not 100% dairy, it was plant based. So a lot of, because people don't know all these technical differences between a good whey product and non whey product, but still, protein product. So this is also very important for India to really give the good product to the, consumer, especially the youth who are going to gym and all these things. So they get a genuine product. So that's why manufacturing anything in India is also is has a lot of potential, but import also with the genuine products, I think it's still there. People are importing a lot of Indian European products, European and US. But as far as sports nutrition is concerned, I think it's more of from US than Europe.
Yeah, thanks, Rother. Dave, my next question is to you, because you have traded, you have been a trader since more than 2 decades now, and you have traded into India. What are the what is the biggest challenge, or one biggest challenge, or one biggest threat while trading to India you always see, and also give me one biggest opportunity,
Biggest opportunity?
one biggest
Probably
threat, one biggest challenge, and one biggest opportunity.
the biggest threat right now is our regulations. I think if we cannot get around us getting around the health certificate issue, that really is going to really put an issue, or it's going to really hinder the availability of supply. Like we said, Europe is the second home to get the supply from, but North America is the number one source of this product. And unless they correct this issue, I don't think you can sustain that business the way that it's being done right now by people bringing it in through the back door or through loopholes. So I think that is probably the biggest threat out of North America, is if they don't get their regulations in line, then it's that business is dead. You can only sneak in so much product, put it that way, right?
Yeah.
And at these high values, if it gets stopped, one load of WPI is around $300,000 US. I mean, these guys, volumes don't come in at one load at a time. You're doing 100 tons at a time and whatnot, right? So if you're bringing in, $1 million contracts, $1 million, contracts at a time, and it gets stopped, or somebody says no, sorry, or whatnot, it's a huge issue. One positive thing is, I do know that they are finding ways to get around it that are legal. So in terms of they're reclassifying product segments, putting it into, instead of just saying it's sports nutritional, they'll say it's nutraceutical, or it's for older age supplemental products in those natures. So they're getting around it legally by reclassifying it like that, but still it's not enough, because you're still capped at how much you can do and what volumes you could bring it under those categories. So it's still tough. It's not that easy still. And to declare it something else, bring it in as feed and use it as food, we all know what the implications are of that. So that's really not the way to go. Um, but that is a positive. And sorry, what was the third part you wanted to you asked?
So I was talking about the opportunity. So threat, challenge, and opportunity. What is the biggest challenge like while trading with India?
Challenge currency. Currency is one.
Currency.
Depending where we're sourcing from, they prefer to use at this moment the U.S. dollar. But when you're coming out of Europe, it's all euro or whatever the currency is that you're dealing with out there. So we find that the money is an issue. The other thing is payment terms. India likes to extend those payment terms as long as they can. On our side, we want the payment up front as soon as we can. And that has been an ongoing, ever never changing issue. And it's a struggle to go back and forth, but unfortunately, that market is that market, and that's just how they deal with it. So we have to adjust more on our end than they do on their end. But it's very difficult for me to extend, 3-month terms on very expensive product, not knowing, right? I mean, it's just high risk. So that is one of my own personal challenges that I deal with on a daily basis, is managing the credit risk with them.
Perfect. Thanks, Dave. Like this was like really good answer. Credit risk with India. Now we have a next question from our guest, and it goes to Rahul sir. Rahul sir, we have a question from Andrew Richardson, and he's asking how long is it expected to take for the organized sector to take over unorganized sector, and when do we buy? He's asking about the timeline by when we see cheese consumption would go beyond 5% in the Indian households.
So first of all, this is growing very fast. As I said, the 15% growth rate of
15%.
one commodity, it will double, in next 6-7 years. That's kind of growth we are seeing that, and still that is gone into only 5% penetration in Indian household. So we are talking about now people are using more cheese cubes, which is a small portion, then slices, then cheese spread, and even paneer also. At home people are using a lot in. So consumption growth is phenomenal. That is no end of it. I give you a simple example. When 20 years back there was only one manufacturer in India, that is Amul, as far as cheese was concerned, right? Maybe 20, 20, 25, 22 years back. Today we have at least 10 companies making cheese, right? In last 20 years, big companies, not less than 20 tons in a day, or maybe 25 tons in a day, they have come up. The out of home consumption, there is a lot of pizzerias have come, like Domino's and Pizza Huts and all this thing. Now today, 2 years back, Domino's were having only 1,200 outlets in India. Today they are talking about 2,000. 2 years. There's a plan to increase to 4,000 in coming 5-6.
Double it.
Yeah, double it, yeah. And then I'm not talking about the local pizzerias, which are also very big now in India. So that consumption is mozzarella and all these things. Even government is having this production link incentive, which is mozzarella is included in that. In a government policy, it is one of the, I think, rare food items or milk items where only mozzarella cheese is included. So a lot of investment has come because you get some incentive of grant from government to when you establish the mozzarella cheese plant or increase the capacity of the mozzarella cheese plant. So the government is also giving some kind of incentive to that, which is also, I would say, in Indian rupees comes to about 15 rupees 15 rupees a kilo. So it is about 3 to 4%. So if you get that incentive, your profitability goes up by 3 to 4% EBITDA, or whatever you call it. So this is also one. So growth rate is tremendous. That is no doubt about it. And anybody visiting India or living in India can understand the kind of cheese consumption. Even is coming in terms of Indian recipes. Like you have South Indian dosas. So dosa, you have cheese dosa now. You have pakoras. All these snacks. You have with the cheese as an ingredient. You have Mackin, a company in India which is making basically French fries.
Rahul sir, we are not able to hear you. I think there might be some connection issue. In the meantime, Lauren, we have a question for you. In the meantime, Rahul G is back. We have a question from Sumita Terehan, and she's asking about again the veterinary health certificate. And she's asking what is EU's plan for transitioning to the new IVHC from 1st of July 2024. I think you can. Do you have any opinion about like how is it, how different countries are reacting to it? Have they agreed to sign it, or they are still discussing?
No, well, in theory, my understanding is that most of the European countries are actually signing it, but not all of them. So there are certain countries that have problems. From our side, yeah, we have been bringing this up for the last 2 years with the European Commission, who's in extensive contact with their Indian counterparts. What they have done, they have made a comparison, a sort of a document that compares Indian legislation with EU legislation to help national authorities see if there's some equivalence on the basis which they can sign off. And not all of them have agreed on that. So you will probably see that some EU member states will export, other won't. And in the meanwhile, we try to feed the European Commission, and we hope that they, in their contacts with the Indian government, also can clarify, or maybe some small amendments are still possible. But that is really, we have to see. It is some countries are lying awake. That is.
Yeah. Okay. Then I think this question goes to. I'll just like open it. Let any one of you answer this, because this is more going towards the utilization of Whey, and I would assume they would be talking about. So there's a question from Dr. Namita Rokana, and she's asking. What do you think about sustainable use of whey-based media for microbial bioprocessing, that is bioethanol production? So use of whey for bioethanol production.
Yeah, I can say shortly something about it. I know it also happens in Europe. I think that there are better uses, but of course, there's always amounts of permeate or products that companies don't directly have an outlet for. So it does happen. I'm not sure if it is the most economic, interesting way of using products. It probably depends on the business case, on an individual company level.
Okay. I have another question from our guest Rahul, and he's asking, what is the difference between Indian, German, and USA's whey protein concentrates?
I do have to say, I would not directly know the answer to that one. I think,
I think
no, I think in the right way prepared. Of course, it differs a little bit what type of way you take. Different type of cheeses or different type of are being produced. But I think if you process it to the same end product, I don't see why there should be that much difference in quality. But maybe one of the other speakers has a different opinion on that.
Yeah. You're on mute, Dave.
Sorry, hi. I don't think it's necessarily quality. I think one of the issues is out of Europe or let's just call it Europe in general. You guys can say you guys have grass-fed product versus North America. It's hard for us to make that claim because we all know because of our winter, because of our seasons, there's no way that we can say that the cows are grass-fed more than they are artificially fed. With that having said, the statement of carrying a grass-fed product fetches a way higher premium in North America versus not saying it's grass-fed. So quality of the product may essentially be the same. However, by being able to say that this has been grass-fed, you are now able to make a claim that this is a cleaner product. Therefore, we can charge more money. And that essentially is one of the differences that I've seen on my end.
Yeah.
And another, as you rightly said, because once we are making a particular WPC or WPI, whatever it is, technically it should be same whether it's from any country. The only difference what I see that in India, basically people want cheese from the vegetarian rennet, not from the animal rennet.
Yeah.
So this
Yeah.
is a this might be a difference when we are talking about whether the cheese from where is coming from, which variety of cheese, whether that cheese is manufactured by vegetarian rennet or animal rennet. So if it is from animal rennet, you have to declare that it is a non-vegetarian source of this thing. That's the difference. I think it's more of a cultural and religious requirement. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a very valid point, also. I think we are pretty much coming to the closure of the discussion. I have one last question for you, Rahul sir, and this has come multiple times. Our audience wants to understand how can whey be utilized for animal feed, and I would actually ask you about the acid whey, because India does produce a lot of acid whey. How can it be utilized for cattle feed?
See, basically, it can be utilized for the cattle feed, but it doesn't make any sense because it doesn't give you any value. See, when we're talking about whey processing, even the acid whey is also used, to manufacture some whey products. As far as cattle feed is concerned, here, in all across world, the liquid whey goes to the piggeries, pig farms. In
Yeah.
India, it's not prevalent. It's not there at all, I would say, right? And for the cows and buffaloes, it doesn't make any sense because the logistic and all this thing. It doesn't make any sense because cattle feed. If you talk about the rate of cattle feed, what is there in India, it's very very low. It's I would say about 25 euro cent or 25 dollar cent, right? So it's not a per kilo I'm talking about. Concentrate feed I'm talking about. People are only making concentrate feed. So I don't see any scope or any logic to supply whey from the cheese plant to the animal, because in India it's not a large farm where you have 2,000 cows or 1,000 cows, or here you have 2-3 animals per farmer. So reaching even to those farmers with the whey, it is nightmare in logistics, as well as quality of way we can do that. So it has to be processed, and uh, protein and lactose has to be generated, which has a very big market.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ram sir. Coming back to the health certificate point, I think there's one comment from Michael from Dutch Embassy, and he says, on health certificate, most MS have proposed a new certificate based on Indian request. FSSAI has accepted this, but they are waiting for a reply from the Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairying. So I think when we talk about the trade, veterinary health certificate remains a very critical problem because it just creates a bit of a confusion. I think I personally see it as a form of a red tapeism. I think it would become more clear with new government that has come in place. That is my personal thought on this. But yeah, with this, I would like to thank all our speakers, Rahul sir, Dave, Lawrence, for your time and for giving us great input. And thanks a lot to all our audience, which has taken their time to join us in this session. And if we have tried to take most of the question. If we have missed any question, or you still want to ask any of your questions to any of our speakers, please feel free to drop them to info@yardbrokery.com. We will try and get in touch with them and get the answer to you. And yeah, we will be organizing another webinar in next 30 days on sustainability. And yeah, we'll look forward to having you again join us there. In the meantime, I would like to thanks again, everyone. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you, Rahul sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.